Thursday. Okay, so this is another Weeby blog. I'm trying to think of another story to tell you guys, because there's one that I've been thinking of, but there's a guy involved who might be watching my videos, and I don't really want to go into it, but I think it might be important to. But I think I'm going to save that for another time. Did I ever tell you guys how I accidentally got a Homestuck harem? Yeah, a Homestuck harem. Crazy, huh? Well, it happened around the horn incident where someone tried to rip the horns off of my head while I was cosplaying Cronus Ampora. I was going over to the Homestuck panel. I was about maybe 10 or even 15 minutes early because I wanted to be in line for a good seat. And I'm just sitting there patiently. My mom's just sitting there waiting for me to go in so she can just go F off or something, because, you know, she's surrounded by weeaboos and just screeching and con stuff that she's not into, but she's there because I'm there, so whatever. And while I'm sitting there, all of a sudden I hear this screech going, "Oh my god, Cronus!" And it's this Mulin and these other people. Now this Mulin, maybe an hour or so before, it's sometime after the whole horn incident, I was going down the escalator to walk back to my hotel, and she started running down the up escalator to get a picture with me, which was a bit crazy. It took me a couple seconds to realize, oh wait, I'm the one she's yelling at. Because this was actually the first time I had been like to a full convention, like the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday. So it was just very overwhelming that people wanted to take a picture with me, especially since this was around, I think it was around maybe 2014 or something like that. Homestuck was starting to trail off a bit, and people were starting to get a little bit bored with all the hiatuses and stuff like that, and yeah. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and these girls, they come over and they're like so excited because they had heard that there was a Cronus walking around, and there was only two of them. One of them was a human stuck Cronus, which is basically just it's all pretty much like closet cosplay, but that's pretty much what all Homestuck costumes are, is closet cosplay. Like even the god tiers is basically pajamas with wings. But I had dressed up as the full troll. I got the ears with the fins on them. I had sprayed my hair, and I had worked my headband into my hair because I had not used a wig for this. I used this, and then I sprayed it black with the Halloween stuff. And then I gave a good measure and used this like maximum hold suave stuff to really get it in there. So you couldn't even see the headband at the time, or at least I thought you couldn't, because it was almost impossible to get that damn thing out. But I had done the face, I had done this, I made sure to spray with that Ben Nye stuff, which I highly recommend. I can't remember, Final Seal. Ben Nye Final Seal, it's perfect for like when you're doing makeup of any kind, because it's waterproof, and like, I want to even say sweat proof, because it took me like having to use holy water just to get my makeup off. It was just like, get it off! Get the Homestuck off of me, Jesus! But anyway, these girls, they were like, oh my god, can you take a picture with us? Can you be in the panel with us? And I'm like, be in the panel? And they're like, oh yeah, we've been trying to get a hold of this other Cronus, but they haven't shown up for the panel. They're like, we've been trying to, and we need a Cronus for our panel. And me being the gullible person that I was, and I was just so excited. This was my first convention. I said, yeah, I'll do it. I want to say it was a cringe fest, but it was a fun cringe fest. Like, if you're not into Homestuck and things like that, you'll probably like look at it and go, oh my god, this would go good on a cringe compilation, because it was bad. But for those who were in Homestuck at the time, like myself, and who were just there to have fun, it was fun. And it wasn't bad, we weren't doing anything bad and things like that, which usually is the line that I like to hold on to when it comes to a lot of the stories, is that if these people aren't actually out there hurting people or like doing something like stealing and stuff, I try to sort of like not read stories that are just like petty stuff, like, oh, well, this person was slightly annoying to me, or oh, this person like was dressed in a bad costume and that was it, or oh, this person that I roomed with, they hogged the bed and left me at a convention, but this was our first convention, and you know, stuff like that. I don't like to go on to the, oh, but they were really cringy kind of stuff. I'm more the, they took the cringe fest that we were having and taking it up to like 100 and just like disturbing everybody. Which we weren't. We were all in our little panel room. Anybody could come in and out, so it wasn't like we were hurting anybody. And then afterwards, we all talked, we took photos, and I hung out with these people and stuff like that. Most of them weren't in paint, and some of them were, but most of them weren't, so they were human stuff and things like that. The main girl who asked me became really attached because she shipped Cronus with Cankry, who she was sort of dressed as. And I didn't want to be mean because, like, she was a lot younger and stuff like that, and it's obvious that her and her friends, they made this panel because they wanted to have fun and they wanted to show off how much fun their fandom could be. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't like being clinged to because I'm not somebody who likes to be touched. Like, even for, like, people I know, sometimes I'll get in the don't touch me mood where I can't stand being touched. Like, you touch me and I still, like, it feels like it's, like, on my arm and I gotta just brush it off. Like, I don't like being touched. But at the moment, I held that back, that flinching and, like, stuff like that back and things like that, because I knew she didn't mean anything by it. Everybody else who was getting hype and off of the Weeaboo Homestuck didn't mean anything by it. Everyone was just having fun. I remember, one thing I remember is that she bought some cat ears, like the little band with the little cat ears, sort of like something like if you would have a maid dress on, and she said, I'm kawaii Kankuri." Oh, it was pretty silly. I had a Homestuck harem and we went to the photo shoot. And the photo shoot was crazy. Like, I was there weren't many Emporas, and I was, yeah, like I said, the only one who was actually a troll. The one who, I guess, was supposed to be at the panel showed up for the photo shoot because they showed up to get pictures. And they, like, got in line when they called for Cronus and stuff like that. The photo shoot was a mess because everyone was talking over each other, and we're a large group. This was still when Homestuck, even though it was tapering down, there was still a lot. Like, a lot. But, you know, it was loud and stuff like that, but I remember this big, giant group photo, and it was big blast, and the Cankry girl was like, "Can I do a photo with you in the group where I'm sort of, like, hanging off you like some sort of, like, yaoi thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Sure, why not? She doesn't mean anything by it. She's just having fun and things like that, and I mean it. She was one of the nicest people at the first convention I went to, the first full convention. She was one of the nicer people I met. She and her group may have been weebs, or like Homestuck weebs, and they may have been a bit too hyped, but they even said this was their first convention and they're younger, so the more the merrier, have fun. And I hope they're still having fun because it's obvious that this was an incredible experience for them, at least while I was still in the group. I had to leave the group because of, this goes on into the other story that I have, where I talk about a friend of mine who I had made her horns for, and who had come late to the convention after saying she had a hotel room, then she didn't, then she wanted to bum with me, which I said no, then she said she'd be there on Friday, and then she'd say that she would be there Saturday morning, and then she didn't show up until like maybe an hour before the little marketplace, not the marketplace, the place with all the stuff, the artist alley and all the stuff, yeah, that. And then she, she was getting upset because I was getting more attention, because, like I said, 2 Cronuses, only one dressed as a troll, and she's also dressed as Cankry, which there was like 10 million thousand of them there. So she would just brush me off and shit like that. So that really ruined it, because I ended up getting very upset, because she was one of the reasons I really wanted to go as well. I wanted somebody to hang out with. That being said, after that, I used holy water to wash off this paint that would not come off, and get all the stuff out of my hair that took like 4 or 5 times of washing, and then I just left home like in early on Saturday because I was so upset. I was crying because my friend basically lied about wanting to come and kept on putting it off and off and off, and then getting mad at me because she wasn't getting the attention she thought she like deserved or something like that. I don't know. I think the weirdest thing that came with the Homestuck harem was one guy that I got a picture with who was Eridan. You know, he gave us these shades that were sort of like this, but they were sort of more like, you know how those party ones with like the things like that, except it had the Aquarius across on top of them too. And he gave everybody who was an Empora these shades to wear for the photo shoot, and then we all gave them back and stuff like that. Somehow he found my Facebook after the convention, and the first thing he messaged me was, "Can you marry me?" And I'm like, "Excuse me? Do you want to get married?" I'm like, I don't understand what's being asked. And he's like, "Do you want to meet up somewhere?" I said, not really. He's like, "Oh, well, there is a mall in the place where I live. Why don't we meet up there?" And I said, "Well, if I meet up there, I'm going to be bringing a friend with me," and each and every time I said I'm bringing someone with me, he changed the locations. So eventually I just told him, "You know, I don't understand what you're trying to ask me. You're making me uncomfortable, so I'm going to block you," and I blocked him. I think that was the weirdest thing that came with the Homestuck harem. To be honest, they were two of the nicest groups that I was with during that first convention. Now, the other group that I was in was on the first day. I dressed as Bilbo Baggins. What I didn't know was that there's a whole group of people for The Hobbit just running around. I mean, there was Lord Twinkletits with his crown. Like, it's been forever since I've done Hobbit stuff. Forgive me. I mean, I think there was an Ori? Yeah, I think there was an Ori. There was a Keely and Feely, who I'm still friends with to this day. I'm still friends with them to this day, and I've hung out with them. I haven't been able to hang out with them as much as I want to, simply because I'm not much of a party person, and they are, which I might start getting more into that kind of stuff maybe next year or something, because I am going back to that convention. I'm going to 2 conventions next year, which I might give the names to, just to see if there's anybody who watches the videos who might want to hang out at the conventions or something like that. I could always use people to hang out with at convention, because it usually ends up being me, myself, and I just trudging along like, "Oh man, I should have put those kid leashes on everybody. Dang it." But anyway, yeah, the Homestuck harem and the Hobbit group were probably the best things about my first convention. Both not really related too much, but they're both groups that really, we had fun. I mean, there was some cringy stuff and stuff like that, but we had fun, and really that's all you want at a convention. I mean, sure, people do cringy shit at conventions and stuff like that, but as long as you're having fun and not actually hurting somebody like in the videos that I read and people send me, then there's really not much of a problem. But this has been, what day is it? Weeby Thursday. Yes, Weeby Thursday. And I'll be seeing you guys next week. Bye!